Hello, everyone. This is Chris and Jeremy joining you on a new podcast called Dips, Drops, and Turns. This is our first podcast, so if we're a little rusty, we apologize. Today, we're just going to be talking about some basic stuff like who we are, what got us started, park and coaster news, and then we'll talk about what we plan on doing for future shows. It's kind of the end of the summer because we kind of wanted to start it off so it's easier to talk about stuff. You guys are probably bored. You guys want to hear what's going on in the world, what's going to happen in 2022. So we'll kind of get into it. Jeremy's in Ohio. I'm in Florida. So I'll let
Yep.
him start off with who he is and then who I am. And then we'll go on to the next area then.
Yeah. So I'm Jeremy. You probably know me from Buckeye Coasters. I've been around the industry for about 20 years now, starting off at Kings Island, where I started off at the age of 16, working at the parks, needing a summer job because my parents told me that I needed to get a job and I didn't want to flip hamburgers. So I started working at Kings Island. And so from there is where my love and passion came for amusement parks and actually the engineering world. So since then, I have been following the industry through college, and now I follow it through my own social media accounts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Buckeye Coasters, and that's where Chris and I met and have been friends for a solid, year and a half.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years now. So, so I love reporting on park news, visiting parks, giving people who may not have a chance to visit parks the opportunity to see the parks through my family's and myself's eyes. I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old who are ride enthusiasts who my wife always gives me a hard time telling me that I'm lucky that both my kids love amusement parks or my life would have been really boring as a father. So we traveled to parks back in 2019 before the pandemic. We traveled to 30 different amusement parks and water parks throughout the United States. So we're ready to get back to that in 2022. But that's a little bit about myself, other than the fact that I'm a mechanical engineer during the day and enthusiast any other time. So, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to just start something that kind of dove into different subjects and stuff like that nobody else is covering. But yeah, so I got started, I would say, I don't know. I think the first roller coaster my mom ever took me on was over at Kittyland in Melrose Park, Illinois. Whatever it's called now. Little wooden coaster. What is the name of it? Little Dipper. Rode that probably when I was like 4 or 5. And then my first major coaster was Wizard over at Six Flags Great America. I wouldn't really consider myself ever a roller coaster enthusiast. I kind of am now. I just enjoy them, I think, more than anything. I wouldn't consider myself like an enthusiast, but I think like 3 years ago, I started getting involved in riding it a lot and then creating the channel Midwest Coaster Fans. And that's how me and Jeremy met on Facebook, social media. I have 4 children of my own. I've got 3 that live in Indiana and then 1 that lives with me. She's kind of a little skeptical because she's 3, so she's skeptical on coasters, but the other 3 like them, besides my middle child, Matthew, that is scared of heights, but I'm pretty sure he'll get over that. That's how I got over my fear of heights, was actually a roller coaster. So first major hyper coaster was Raging Bull in '99. I actually rode it opening day. Back then, we had an 8th grade trip when I used to live in Illinois over to Six Flags Great America. That was my home park for years. And then I moved to Indiana when I was a freshman in high school. Indiana Beach was my home park back when Indiana Beach was in its prime. And I never went anywhere else. So I can't really say I went all over the place. Like Six Flags Great America, Indiana Beach, and probably whatever was in Illinois at the time, which was like Santa's Village and stuff like that. So then I joined like the Army in 2003. Went to Colorado, Virginia, Kentucky, and then that's kind of where I started going to different parks. I think SeaWorld Entertainment was probably, when it was owned by Anheuser-Busch, was probably the thing that got me back into it, because Busch Gardens Williamsburg is probably one of the best parks still to this day that I've been to. And then in 2010, I kind of became kind of more of a theme park type of enthusiast, so I would kind of take every couple of years a Disney trip down to Orlando. But I would say 2016 is kind of when I got back into it. I didn't realize I had over 100 credits until I added them up before I started writing again. Because any city I would go visit, I would just go to the park and kind of just ride the coaster one time or twice just for fun. But you never really thought about it as being like an enthusiast. I didn't even know this community existed actually until about 4 years ago. I watched Theme Park Review, watched his POVs online. I followed like Tim Tracker and all the vloggers in Orlando that would travel all over. Other than that, I didn't really follow.
Yeah, you and I have a similar background there too with the coaster community. Yeah, Midway Mayhem was a big one that I first followed, along with, like you said, Theme Park Review. So,
yeah, I remember
same.
following Dan when he was doing Makeup Madness. I
Yeah,
remember I followed that whole update, and I was like, well, this seemed kind of fun.
Yeah, that's Dan was one of the first that I followed in the community that did that type of projects and stuff. So
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you have like younger kids, you're more into like smaller parks, and then as they get older, you're kind of like introducing them to larger rides.
yeah, we definitely hit up more smaller parks than we do larger parks these days, right now at least.
But yeah, I'm an old man. I'm 36, so
36 as well.
so my back can't handle it as much. We just went on, like, I just went on a Texas trip, and it's funny. You have like Zach from our Midwest Coaster Fans team, and he's riding over and over again. It's like me, I'm like one or two rides, and I got to take a break. So
I know that's how my daughter is. My daughter is a ride warrior at the age of 9. She wants to ride over and over and over again, and I'm like, I need a break first. On certain rides like the Beast at my home park, I need a break before I ride it again. But
yeah,
Kings Island's my home park. It's about 20 minutes down the road. Other parks that I consider my home parks are like in the region are Kentucky Kingdom, Holiday World, Cedar Point, and water park up at Zumbizi Bay, which is at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. Those are all places that we consider home for us, and we have season passes to all those parks too.
Yeah, that's a big hint on there. If you guys are ever planning to travel, you're wondering like, how do all these channels and enthusiasts travel over the place? Season passes.
Yep, for sure.
Especially Six Flags, Cedar Fair, SeaWorld. I can't really say it about the smaller parks because if you only visit it one time, my recommendation is just to, well, depending on the price of it, is just to pay that weekly price.
But if you're going to somewhere like last year, we went to Dollywood for the first time, and we were there for 3 days. It was cost effective for us to buy a season pass, and we've used it probably 6 times now since buying it. So it just depends on how many times you're going to visit it, for sure.
Well, it's kind of like down here. Everybody complains about Disney if you're out of state, but if you're local, I'm paying like a local rate. And I could just go in there for like 3 or 4 hours, ride a couple rides, and then leave. Same thing with Universal. But yeah, if you do like a 1-day pass to Universal or 1-day pass to Disney, that's over $100 a piece.
Yeah.
In this area, that's why everybody has passes. I think Six Flags and Cedar Fair are pretty, reasonable compared. However, yeah, we'll get in that in future shows on what we think is actually ruining parks, and part of it might be the whole lower standard for lower prices just to appease stockholders, but that's a different story. So.
Yeah, that's a good topic to bring up.
What got us started? For Dips, Drops, and Turns, we kind of were just talking one day. We're like, all these other podcasts are kind of like bias reviewed. They talk about stuff, but it's kind of like one little subject. They don't really get into detail on anything else. So they seem to have fun with it. There's a couple other podcasts that I kind of follow a lot. In the Loop.
But Chris and I you and I give a little bit more knowledge. We have a little bit more experience as some of these podcasts do, though. I mean, with my engineering background and my background and working in the industry and how closely you followed the industry, we have a little bit more. We can offer our fans and followers a little bit more than what other podcasts can offer too. We can break down into a more detail than most podcasts can when it comes to certain situations and stuff like you're talking with the season passes and you being a stockholder and things like that, to incidences that happen with roller coasters. With me being in my mechanical engineering background and stuff, I can give an opinion on that and tell everybody what I think or what I experienced in the past as well. So that's where we're a little bit different than some of these common podcasts.
Yeah, a lot of them and no doubts to them. I mean, they do a good job with it,
right?
But try to create like a podcast that's more non-opinionated and more factual based.
Mm-hmm.
So people that have never been to these parks could kind of get some information. Like I could give you a whole show, and I'm pretty sure Jeremy can too, on how to make the best out of like a Disney trip, for example, or Universal trip, or even Cedar Point. Even though I've kind of said parks like that, you need to give yourself 2 or 3 days. Like Cedar Point's a 3-day park minimum now, but then you have other people that prefer certain rides. I try to, before I do reviews on my channel, I try to do at least 4 to 5 rides on it before giving it a review. I don't know how channels do one ride and they do a review on it, because you could have a bad ride and you could have a good ride later in the day. So if you do 4 or 5 rides, then normally you're getting an overall consensus on how the ride really is. One ride is not going well. That's the idea for down here, which is future shows, which in future shows we'll kind of talk about that, like what the difference between riding a coaster in the morning compared to riding it in the evening when the steel has expanded and the track's warmed up. Good example on that is Velocicoaster. People that ride it in the morning are like, it's overrated. And then when people ride it in the evening, they're like, wow, this coaster just blew my mind away. So,
plus we give a different aspect too, because we take in all aspects of the park. There's a lot of enthusiast pages out there and podcasts and stuff who just focus on the coasters and the rides, where you and I take in the whole experience, shows, merchandise, food, everything. So they'll get a little bit of that as well.
Yeah. And there's a couple parks out there that don't have a great coaster lineup, but the overall lineup makes it a better park.
That's very true.
And then if you guys ever have any ideas, so this is obviously a new podcast that'll come out weekly on every Saturday. So if you guys have any ideas for the show, we'll put the information in the description on the podcast and the YouTube channel, so you guys could email us some ideas, and then we might in the future have some live shows. The problem with the live shows is that a lot of times we kind of get sidetracked comments, as I experienced on our other channel, but it's also a good way to kind of get to learn who you guys are as well. What do we got out here? So yeah, that we'll talk about that in future shows. Try to get guests from like smaller channels, larger channels, maybe get some park presidents.
Yeah, we might be able to get some park presidents or even some PR directors to come on with us and talk.
Yeah, it'd be good information to know, because there's a lot in this industry that people don't really know. So you hear the one-sided thing of it. So let's see. We do have for this first show, we are at least going to talk about park and coaster news, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Kind of, obviously, 2020 and 2021 kind of delayed a lot of projects that parks probably were going to do. The latest teaser that I found interesting was from Tony Clark, and he counted the amount of pumpkins that were in the park. Now, that could be either taken as he's just messing with us, or it could be taken as he's giving the track length or some sort of stat of a coaster that's going to go in place of Wicked Twister. But knowing him, since he hinted at the beginning of the season that Wicked Twister was going to be removed, knowing him, it's not just a coincidence that he named how many were in the park.
No, I mean, he shared with us before in past winter chill outs too, where they've given us hints over the years, in different places of coming attractions like Copperhead Strike, Mystic Timbers, Steel Vengeance. I mean, he was hinting at Steel Vengeance two years before Steel Vengeance was even on the radar as something that was coming. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's something, or like you said, he could just be making us think it's something. But he definitely stirred the community with that stat of how many pumpkins they had.
Yeah, I don't think it's coincidence with him.
No, probably not.
He's probably one of the best in the business. I might have had some bad, I might have bashed the park a couple of times the last couple of years, but Cedar Point's a good park. But if you, like I said before, you've got to go in there giving yourself 2 or 3 days now because the crowds are crazy. But
crowds are crazy. To take in the whole experience, so I think you're right. 2 to 3 days for sure.
And maybe stay on site too, if you could afford it. It's kind of Disney prices at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Wicked Twister leaving to me was not a big deal. It
wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, it didn't fit the park in my opinion. The coaster lineup, it seemed like a filler coaster, which I think it was in between Millennium Force and Top Thrill getting built. I think that was just a filler coaster. What did it open, 2002? Or was it 2001? I don't remember stats. We should have looked up some of these stats before we did it. We could go back to that in a minute.
Yeah, that works.
And then other coaster news, if it happens, obviously, but Iron Gwazi is opening in March of 2022. And then that's over at, obviously, Busch Gardens Tampa. Icebreaker in February of 2022 over at SeaWorld Orlando. SeaWorld San Antonio. This is not coaster related, but they are adding a S&S Power Swing. That'll be the world's tallest, I think. And then Emperor, from what I understand, when is Emperor opening? Is that also March 2022?
I believe so.
They're just throwing everything. Pantheon's March of 2022. So these were 2020 coasters that were delayed.
Right.
And delayed.
And delayed a little bit more, if you ask some people in the community. Wicked Twister opened in May 2002.
Okay. And then the following year was Top Thrill Dragster.
Correct.
So Top Thrill's nearing the 20th anniversary already, if it lasts that long.
That is subject to discussion as well.
Yeah. Since we're talking about SeaWorld, we might as well talk about Six Flags real fast. The only coaster that Six Flags has officially announced, they have not announced the new coaster at Magic Mountain, which obviously we know is going to probably happen, but Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger that's opening at Six Flags Fiesta Texas is kind of a new look at the drop coaster model. I believe it only sits, 7 across, 3 rows for a total of 21 riders instead of the normal 30 or 36 riders, however many the old drop coasters had. And it's actually going to have 2 drops. If you look at Emperor over at SeaWorld San Diego, I've seen it test. We have the video of it testing. The one over at SeaWorld San Diego, unfortunately, only has the official 1 drop, and then when it hits the second one, it's more of a mid-course brake run than it is an actual drop again. That's more of a compact model than Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger. I saw the area that it occupies, and I have the information on it. As they go further along in the construction progress, we'll talk about it more on this podcast, but pretty much there's a section over by Iron Rattler and over by the old amphitheater. I think they actually took out the old amphitheater, but it is a big area. I mean, I was thinking Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger was going to be small. That area that it's occupying is humongous.
It's a decent size area. Emperor is going to be opening March 2022 too, as well.
Okay. And I've seen how fast that one's going to be. I think it's going to offer something new. My thing is, I think B&M's trying to figure out a way to compete with RMC and Intamin because they're getting knocked out of the game from those two right now. So they have to figure out a way to compete with the two. And then Intamin obviously is looking at RMC as a competition because they decided they don't want to deal with Premier Rides or RMC anymore. So they came out 2 coaster models that kind of compete against both companies, where kind of like what is that called, the Skyrocket 2 model. So they created their own Skyrocket 2 that looks a lot better. And then if their single rail works out and their trains are a little more comfortable, there's a possibility that RMC might have to rethink how they're going to be designing their single rails in the future. So I like how the coaster business is very competitive right now, but I would say the top two competitors right now to each other is Intamin and RMC, hands down.
Yeah, but then you have family coasters. You got the competition going on with family coasters as well, with Zambrilla coming out with their new family models, RMC coming out with their new family model. So, I mean, you're right. Competition is pretty high right now.
We're going to get some good coasters over the next 10 years, definitely. The competition's not going to slow down for the roller coaster community. So if you guys think that RMC has topped itself, they haven't built a 300-foot coaster yet. So Alan Schilke hinted that he will not come back and work with RMC until that is done. So he said he's done everything that he can. So looks like I think a park's going to add the T-Rex model. I don't think it's going to be Cedar Point like everybody thinks it's going to be, though.
I don't think it's going to be Cedar Point either.
I don't know where they would put it at, and they already have a 300-foot coaster. Why would they want to build another one?
Right.
I think we might be looking at a Six Flags park, maybe, if Six Flags could generate or SeaWorld, but I don't know how their relationship is after what happened last year. I'm pretty sure they're all right. I would
think so.
Everybody had troubles last year, so I mean, I don't think it was purposely done. But what else do we have going on? For all the people in the Midwest, nothing's really been announced yet, but we actually found Zach from my other endeavor. He actually was just on the Sky Ride, just messing around, and noticed that they were building a new coaster at Indiana Beach. They have not formally announced it, but basically Galaxy's coming back, which they needed a new family coaster anyways. And
it'll be a good addition. It'll be a interesting thing to see them open 2 coasters in 1 year.
Yeah.
It'll definitely test their operations department. There's no doubt about that. As a former ride op, that's going to test their operations department for sure.
Well, hopefully next year's a little bit better. It looks like they're easing the international restrictions, so hopefully parks could utilize that program again. They desperately need to again, because
I agree.
The only people that weren't short were annual parks this year. But Correct. Now with Cedar Point paying their workers $20 an hour, they're going to have to probably keep it that way now, because
they're paying them increases for staying certain periods of time too on the hour. So
yeah, I saw that. I kind of wish I had a park like that near me right now. I'd go work it part-time.
Yeah, I know. But bringing back Six Flags again, it was really odd this year not seeing the annual Six Flags video where they show what every single park's getting. That was something that didn't really stir too many people in the community either, which was odd, because usually Six Flags comes out with a announcement video or huge announcement toward the end of August, and you wake up here in the Midwest in the morning, and then you know what this is like, Chris. You wake up in the morning and there's 18 different updates on everything that all the Six Flags parks are opening, and this year we didn't have that, so that was kind of odd. So you can definitely tell it's an off year for sure when you don't even see that from Six Flags.
Yeah, I noticed that from like you said, I've noticed that this year and last year. Years prior, we had all the updates by the end of September usually.
Yeah, I mean, we had Dr. D's announcement at beginning of August?
Yeah, that was
that was out of their norm. So
Well, I think it's also because Six Flags has kind of delayed their 2021 projects to 2022. Maybe next year we'll get it back. Hopefully again. I don't know. They have a new CEO, so maybe he's taking it a different direction now.
yeah, I just remember the last 2 years that the morning of the release of Six Flags was always a crazy morning because all the different the cat just knocked something out of the window, off the window into the sink. Anyways, you gotta love recording with animals in the background. But anyways, yeah, it's usually a busy morning for people like you and I who are reporting on the news when Six Flags drops their video and all their different specs and all their concept art and all that stuff. So it was odd not having that this year.
There's a lot going on. Then we thought, and I had a chance to actually speak with Jake, which was kind of cool at the premiere of This Is How We Roll. And I asked him, I said, so you announced the family coasters for RMC. Have you sold at any park? He said no, they had not sold it. So I asked him another question, which was, did you purposely drop that right before you knew that Fun Spot was going to drop that they were building a new RMC? And he basically laughed.
So he gave you that answer right there.
Yeah, and I asked him if it was going to be a record-breaking RMC, and he kind of shook his head yes, hinting at it. So it's just very odd that Fun Spot Atlanta, which is not technically in Atlanta,
yeah,
that they're building a record-breaking RMC coaster.
Especially with Six Flags over Georgia in their backyard.
It's such a weird,
a bold move.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think Amusement Insider actually got it down pat. Like, I don't know how he reads blueprints and knows exactly a layout of a coaster. Obviously, he's learned through the years, but everything that they've announced since he's done his basic like rough draft virtual POV has been dead on, and it's crazy.
Oh yeah, especially that one back turn.
Yeah. It's so odd, though, because I've seen the park and there's nothing there. I mean, it's literally I think it's smaller than the ones that it might be the same size as the one in Orlando, but it's definitely not that big. And I heard they're planning on expanding because they have a lot of land to expand on. So,
oh yeah, I heard big things are coming to that location.
It's just a huge investment, though, for them. Their other ones were like $5 million investments. This one's got to be up there. So,
definitely.
I'm trying to think of anything else like coaster related. Let me see if V2 is getting repainted at Six Flags Great America. Lost Island Theme Park might be adding a dark ride in Rapids to their plans on top of everything else.
We have the only big Cedar Fair announcement was King's Dominion and their announcement of their free spin.
What's the name of that again? To
Bali?
I know it means to spin or roll.
Yeah, it's after the concept of a monkey.
Yeah, it's Swahili for swinging or something.
Yeah, so that's an SNS.
That's their filler coaster,
4D
I think.
free spin. I think you're right. I think it's like a Wicked Twister type of deal. It's a fill-in for something bigger in 23 or 24 coming in that area. And Avalanche is going to be reopening, which is good to see that it didn't get put on the chopping block.
Yeah, because I know there was rumors on that.
We were afraid that it was going to get. It's a great family coaster for anybody who goes to King's Dominion.
Billy is the name of the new wing. They're calling it a wing. Well, it technically is a wings free spin model. More of the compact. So if you've been over to Adventureland, it's the same type. It's more the compact version of it, not
smaller version, yeah.
Which I know free spins get a lot of crap, but if they would have kept the same concept as the one that Fiesta Texas has, it actually would have been a better ride experience. I got like 6 flips on it when I rode it on the right side the other day. And I mean awesome. Scary flips, like head first down type of drops.
Then we have the news out of SeaWorld Entertainment with the conversion of Aquatica over to Sesame Place, which will be a combination of a theme park and water park. So there's going to be 18 attractions between water slides and new kids riding, including a new coaster there. So that'll be an exciting conversion. That's supposed to be opening in March 2022. So, I mean, it keeps saying you keep seeing SeaWorld Entertainment. It sounds like they're the pass to have in 2022 because they're getting all new stuff across the board. So if you're a traveler in the industry, that's definitely the pass that you want to look into if you look into any pass.
Well, also they're also rumoring that they might be adding resort hotels to their parks. So I know that's just a rumor, but there actually was plans leaked on Reddit. I don't know what happened to them. I think the thing was deleted, but I saw all the. Yeah, I think I shared that with you as well.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, there was hints of it in their shareholder meeting that they might be going kind of the route that Cedar Fair attempted at one point that they've only done really at Cedar Point, Carowinds. They've done Kings Island with Camp Cedar, but going that more resort family concept instead of theme park only idea.
Which SeaWorld could do it because they usually have Aquatica connected with SeaWorld or Busch Gardens, so they could definitely
go that resort idea.
Yeah, so I like the way I SeaWorld's taking a lot of risks. What worries me is what happened. Same thing that happened to Six Flags 20 years ago. So hopefully they're more cautious on it. I don't think they'll run into the same issue, just because I don't think the economy is going to. I think the economy crashing had something to do with it more than anything.
But SeaWorld Entertainment though needs to get in good upper management though, and not keep having the management turnover that they keep having though. In my opinion, that hurt them is the constant turnover of a president and everything else. If they can get somebody in there who can actually keep the job, that would help.
Yeah, they keep on going. Yeah, like you said, they keep on going through them like crazy.
And, yeah, they need somebody who's going to get them where they need to be.
The only thing I could say that was kind of weird this year that they did was the fact that all the parks have haunt now, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, Howl-O-Scream was added.
It was kind of weird how they chose 2021 to add it instead of waiting because of staffing issues, but because their park operations, I know the park operations in Orlando and Tampa have not been on par, so it was kind of weird to see them add scare actors and a scare event on top of what was going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, you have it at San Diego, you have it at Texas, and both parks, both Busch Gardens parks and Orlando. And it looks like they put a lot into the one in Orlando. So
I've heard good things from it. So I've not been to that one. I did get a chance to roll through the one in San Antonio. They had a lot of cool houses. It seemed like.
I'm shocked that it took Orlando this long to do it, to be honest with you.
That is true because they had it at Tampa forever.
Mm-hmm. And you got to compete against Universal, so
good luck on that.
It won't happen, but it gives another offering though.
Yeah, it's interesting. Six Flags is doing their thing, and all the other small parks are doing their thing. Cedar Fair does the same theme every year with their haunt. Bones,
big
zombies, and Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, big thing that you brought up was demolition starting at Animal Kingdom as well on Primeval World.
Oh yeah, that is. So the rumor originally was on that they weren't going to get rid of it. They were just ordering new trains for it or refurbishing the trains. Obviously, that was not right. So I find that interesting.
There's a lot of news coming out of that park with the new Nemo show and then the shutdown of Everest for a while in early 2022, they're going to do some major rehab on it, I guess.
Yeah, I heard
So-
it's just going to be the track, though. They said they're not going to mess with the Yeti. So we were hoping that they were going to mess with the Yeti where he'd shake again. But they said because of the design, the only way to do that would be to shut down Everest for a full year. I think what's his face actually hinted that in an interview once when they asked him, what was his name? The one.
But they're expecting a 4-month rehab on that right now. That's pretty decent time.
It is. But I guess when they were asked if they were going to repair the Yeti, they said no. So I guess we're still going to have Disco Yeti, I guess. How did...
I mean, I guess if you're a Avatar Pandora fan, I guess it's good to go to Animal Kingdom, but right now it's hard for me to justify going there right now. Especially in early 2022, it's going to be hard to justify going there with Everest closed.
Well, that and they shut down those 2 shows. They brought back Lion King, but then Finding Nemo is a popular show, and they've had a lot of shows shut down there. That's for another future show. But I think my main pet peeve of them right now is charging the same amount of money for less entertainment than what they had before.
Right.
But I think they're planning something big for. I think Bob Chapek, the CEO of the company, knows that okay, some people are mad. Primeval World was a horrible. I mean, if you like rough. If you like rough mouse coasters, I remember they would just slam you into the side. That thing was rough, but
I mean, it would hit its brakes pretty hard.
But even during the busy months, it didn't have any lines really. I mean, it operated 2 of the same tracks. My thing is, I think they're going to possibly sell that ride over to a different park, or knowing Disney, they might just completely demolish it completely, and that's watch. It's going to go to California's Adventure or something.
And then they'll completely retheme it and say it's something brand new. Yeah.
Well, they are moving they're moving all their Imagineers. I think most of them down to Florida now. That was just announced. They just bought 25 acres, and their new headquarters down here is going to cost like $800 million or something to build.
$800 million.
And I heard they're relocating 80% of their Imagineers down here. So maybe they finally are waking up and realizing that Universal's not playing games anymore. And I think they might be looking at possibly finally investing more money back into Disney World.
Well, they need to. With the opening of Epic Universe, I think they're going to have to.
Well, that's another thing. We didn't talk about those 2 coasters. Huh? Oh, I know. We'll sit down real fast. We'll talk about it in a second. But I think it's really odd that we haven't heard an opening date for Tron, which I've heard rumors say March 2022. And Guardians, who knows when Guardians is open?
Guardians has gone silent. I mean, really silent.
They're working on it still, but yeah, it's kind of odd that they're just like you said, completely silent about it. Tron, you think would have opened on time no matter what, because they already know how to build that one. But yeah, Guardians is supposed to have I heard the queue is basically a walkthrough, basically planetarium, and then that leads to the reverse launch into that ride queue that's 4 times the size of Spaceship Earth, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Spaceship Earth's been testing their new LED system, so that new show that they have on the lagoon, though, man, it looks horrible. It looks like something from War of the Worlds that they designed on there.
People are not a fan of it, from what I keep reading.
It's not. I guess I'll find out next month.
That's why I'm worried about the new show that they're bringing out at Animal Kingdom. If that's any indicator of what Animal Kingdom's new show is going to be like, that they're going to come out with here soon too.
Yeah, I wonder if they're eventually going to retheme that whole entire dinosaur area. I think that's the start of the removal process and retheming process of that area too. Well, when did that open up, anyways?
It needs to be done. 2002. 2002 was the expansion of that area. Triceratops spin, primeval world was all put in that time. So yeah.
Oh, it opened April 22nd, 98 is Animal Kingdom's anniversary, huh? That's odd. I think that's the only that's the only Walt Disney park that didn't open October 1st.
Yeah.
I think Hollywood Studios opened up October 1st of 89. Or was it 1990? I don't even know. We're going.
89.
Oh, that one was May 1st.
89.
I guess the only two that opened October 1st were Epcot and Magic Kingdom. Okay, that throws me all over the place then, because those are some odd operating dates. What other coasters? Okay, so Great America, probably not. Great America is probably going to be the next park that gets an addition for Six Flags, because those are the 4 highlighted parks: Fiesta, Magic Kingdom, Fiesta, Magic Mountain, Great Adventure, and Great America. Great America did not get anything. It'll be 3 years. So V2 is getting repainted, so obviously that's not going anywhere. So I wonder what they're going to do next. You know what I'd like to see SeaWorld do more of, and I know some enthusiasts might disagree with me. Invest more in like family attractions, because their kids areas are okay, but they don't have enough stuff for families to do outside of the animal shows. Like I know in Orlando and Tampa, the average height for the kiddie coasters are like 40 inches, which every other park in the area is 36. So they need to really rethink what they're doing in the future for that. Because in order to compete with Disney and Universal, you're going to have to invest more into family attractions.
Yeah, and then you have Riddler, Mindbender opening back up at Six Flags Over Georgia coming up.
I thought Mindbender was isn't that already open?
It may have already opened after its long, extensive. It opened over Labor Day weekend, so you had its extensive downtime.
And I had the opportunity to ride the Poltergeist retheming, which the queue area is amazing now.
Yeah, you compared it to like a mini haunt attraction.
Yeah, that still understand why that's the only Six Flags park that's themed the way it is. I'm looking at the same thing you are right now. So yeah, you said Sesame Place San Diego. The new LA County health mandate. I think you're going to be required eventually in the future if you're visiting out of state to be fully vaccinated. Hershey Park, Sky Rush lift cable is back. Sky Rush is already open again. So let's see here. We're going back like 2 weeks. Originally, we were supposed to start this like 2 weeks ago. We can't.
Yeah.
Kennywood confirms new color for Phantom's Revenge.
Yeah, that's recent. They're doing a new rethemed of their haunt event too. So we'll see how that goes.
They knew people were going to pick purples. I don't even know why the heck they had people vote on it. Whatever.
Space 20 or 220 open at Epcot, the new restaurant with Mission Space.
Yeah, that opened. I believe that opened Monday. Yeah,
it's getting some good reviews.
Yeah, I've heard really good things on that. Now it's $79 a person, but you're getting your money's worth because you're getting an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and all of them are pretty good portion sizes.
Yeah, everything I've seen at this point looks pretty good.
Lost Island theme park, which we didn't really talk about, but Lost Island's doing a bunch of relocated coasters anyways. But Lost Island will be opening in Waterloo, Iowa next year, supposedly next summer if it's still on schedule.
Adventureland's getting all those new rides too, family rides that they're opening up.
Oh yeah, all the kiddie. They seem to be investing hugely in kiddie rides.
kiddie rides or your family rides like scramblers and stuff like that. So
The interesting thing I found on here was SeaWorld San Diego may be preparing to launch Arctic Coaster concept again. So that's kind of interesting.
yeah, because that went from like hot to dead to now it looks like it's on its way back.
Which
But
I think that's a good thing.
yeah, Six Flags Magic Mountain, you did talk about them getting the single rail, but we do have track on site now there, so it's pretty much confirmed with that. And it does look like an exact copy. You gotta love Six Flags' concept of buying bulk.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like all the other parks, Great America and Fiesta get like unique coasters, and then all the other parks get like clones.
Mm-hmm. It's all clones.
Great America, I think, is one of the few that doesn't get any clones. Obviously, they didn't like what happened with S&S's power launch with what was the name of it? What's the name of their one that they just added in 2019? Something Max. Max Force.
Max Force, yeah.
From what I heard, that the maintenance staff kind of gave it kind of a thumbs down because they're having nothing but issues with it. Which, oh, that's another good thing to talk about. I guess we could dive further into that in future podcasts. But Dota Dumpa over in Fuji-Q Highland has been shut down because I guess it was the launch was so damaging that it was breaking people's ribs.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's been going on over the last like 3 or 4 years, and I guess finally they're looking into it because they've had numerous guests complain of injured or like bruised ribs and broken ribs and stuff. Which I've heard that launch is pretty powerful. It's launching you from 0 to 120 in like what 3 seconds or something like that, or is it 1.8 seconds? I know it's like extremely crazy.
Yeah, I hope the future of launch coasters are not in jeopardy with everything that's surrounding them right now.
I think they might be looking at less powerful launches.
Yeah.
I think LSM and limb launches are fine, but yeah, the air-powered launches, S&S is just, they had a good concept. Unfortunately, people are scared to death of them, so... and then you have the issue with, I don't know, Dota Dump has been around for a while, so hopefully they can bring it back because that was kind of on one of my bucket coaster lists whenever I got out to Japan. That was like one of the ones I wanted to ride the most. I know it's going to be terrifying
Yeah.
because everybody that I talked to said it takes the breath out of you, but everybody says it's worth 1 or 2 times on it. So I guess I would conclude kind of park and coaster news. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to overlook this real fast again to make sure we didn't miss anything in here. The only thing I saw in here that was different is there's a new Zamperla flat ride concept, but
correct. But they seem to be coming out with a new flat ride every few months, it seems like. So
yeah, they're trying different concepts. Zamperla is trying to get back into the market. Who knows if that'll ever happen? Their test parks, Luna Park in New York. That's where they test everything at, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you had the other couple of new coaster concepts. The new was that Skyliner Entertainment has that new family coaster concept.
Yep. Is it the spaghetti?
I'm looking it up right now. I'm seeing what they're calling it. It's basically using the single rail, but they're not using RMC this time. This is actually in the house. Yeah, you're right. P Getty or P Getty Bowl.
Yeah, it's like everybody was calling it spaghetti coaster.
Yeah, but if that takes off, I mean that'd be a good addition for a lot of small parks.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
RMC is doing their concept for their family coaster.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really talk much about Mock Rides, but Mock Rides is kind of slowly transitioning into this market, but their coasters are still a little too expensive right now. We might see them again in a couple of years when things get a little bit normal again. And I
Yeah,
think the other
Copperhead Strike was great. I mean,
that's what everybody says. I need to get over to Carowinds one of these days.
I was there opening the season pass opener preview, and it was awesome.
I mean, Time Traveler is pretty awesome. So yeah, it just tells you what they possibly might be able to do. And then I think the last thing we could talk about here, and then we kind of got to get out of here, unfortunately, time constricted. But international visitors are actually allowed to come over here again. So if they could show that they're fully vaccinated, they're allowing them into the country. So I know maybe the smaller parks won't see a lot of that, but I know Florida parks are really excited about it because
I'm sure they are.
people from England have been waiting for like a year and a half to come back over here. So November 1st, I believe they are going to be able to come back over here. So
yeah,
it's slowly, I wouldn't call it normal because I don't feel like anything's normal still. I don't think we're going to feel that until 2023 probably.
No, and it's good too because we're able to go to Canada now too. So a lot of enthusiasts are excited about being able to go back to Canada's Wonderland. So that's a good thing too.
Oh, to claim their home park pass.
Yeah, to claim their home park pass.
But I don't know what future things would you guys like us to talk about on future shows? Let us know in the comments below, or you can email us, or both of us run different platforms. You have Buckeye Coasters, that's Jeremy's channel, and then Midwest Coaster Fans is mine. If you guys want to hit us on our personal channels and talk about it. Oh yeah. Well, I guess you guys would kind of see kind of what the logo is like. We'll reveal it next show. I'll have it in the upper right hand corner of here. We're still kind of working with that, so.
Yep.
But it should be pretty fun. This is just like an introduction podcast, so the future shows we'll be talking about one topic each show, so, and then possibly be going over coaster news if we can find anything new. But if there's nothing new, there's no need to really talk about anything.
You need to focus on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That kind of concludes our first show on here. You can follow us on any format that you listen to, or you can listen to us either on, well, you can also listen to us on YouTube as well if you wanted to. But to use less bandwidth, you might want to try to download it off of iTunes. We'll be on iTunes, Spotify, all of them. So whatever you listen to your podcast on, we'll be on there. But yeah, thanks again for listening to us, and hopefully we didn't bore you. If we did, we appreciate any type of feedback you guys might have so we can make the shows a little more interesting. But
absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks for listening to us, guys. And we'll be back next Saturday on Dips, Drops, and Turns here on any podcast format and YouTube.